So, but then he goes on to say, and this is where the simplicity of the program comes in. He said, I was soon to be catapulted a few more sentences down into what I call the fourth dimension of existence. Now, this is really true. When you hear people work these steps in this program, this is really true. And it's through this acknowledgement that there's another way to think and the old way didn't work. I was to know happiness, peace, and usefulness, and a way of life that is incredibly more wonderful as time passes. So, on page 24, we're going to go shortly into the problem again. The problem is this. The fact that most alcoholics are compulsive eaters, a compulsion to restrict, a compulsion to eat, whatever it is, anorexia, bulimia, how about binge eating, whatever, for reasons yet obscured, have lost the power and choice of drink or food. So look, there's nobody here can disagree with this, because we all know 95% of the times we tried, it failed. Our diets failed. So here we lost the power of choice. So it's saying we lost it. So we had to find some way to find it. And how can we get that power? Right? What does it say? Lack of power, that's our problem, we agnostics. So the so-called willpower becomes practically non-existent. We are unable at certain times to bring to our consciousness, this is on page 24, of course it's in italics, with sufficient force, the memory of suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago, we will be out defense against the first drink. So look, we can't resolve a problem till we know what the problem is. If you have a car that's broken, unless you know, you could go take the whole car apart. But unless you know where the exact problem is, you can't resolve it. You could spend years doing it. So we have to diagnose the problem. And it tells us here, it's that we can't do it. We lack the power. Finally coming to the understanding. And what's amazing is that this lack of power relates to everything in our lives. Getting people to like us and all of these things in life we can't do on our own power. But when we get centered, the whole source, there's nothing anybody can teach you. That's why I say you could go to thousands of meetings and sponsor all these people and read. I had shelves full of self-help books. It didn't help. The needed power wasn't there. It wasn't another human. I could ask 10 people how to resolve my problem, call them up. And what's the difference? It didn't make a difference. And I was just as miserable. I go to meetings called either being the problem or solution. Same with our food, our addiction. So I go there and I talk about my problem. What I started to realize is my problems aren't real. It's something, an illusion it talks about in the big book in my mind. So when I started to realize that, I figured if I go somewhere and say to you, look, I got this problem, like with somebody in my family, my mother-in-law, clerk in the store, my boss at work, I'm saying it's real. I'm making it more real. So when I get centered in prayer, meditation, whatever it is, when I'm centered, I see compassion and love. We have the sick man prayer on 66, 67. I mean, there's so much that we at these meetings go into. And when you hear the shares, you'd be pretty amazed. A lot of people, you could come in and share on what you want, but a lot of people have had that spiritual awakening, and we can get it right here, right now, because it says on the next page, 25, in the second paragraph, it says, or in the middle of the first, when therefore we approached by those in whom the problem had been solved. So your problem or problems in your life can be solved. I've seen it. I've seen it in my own life. And it says here, there was nothing left for us to do. Again, nothing left. People could be in here 10, 20, 30 more years, and they haven't resolved the food problem or the addiction problem or the problem of being depressed or anxious. It's all related to the same thing. It's related to the selfishness, self-centeredness, right? We'll read that in a minute. Simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet. We have found much of heaven. We've been rocketed in the fourth dimension of existence, of which we had not even dreamed. So this rocketed, it's a simple concept. It's getting out of the self, realizing the truth. Heard somebody say before about the truth will set you free. Being honest with ourselves. The truth is that all these little things we're thinking about, plans and designs on page 62, what does it say? This is related to our addictions. People, like I have the steps here. Step 1 said I'm powerless. Step 2 said I'd be restored to sanity. So this is the way, the only way we can approach, because if you're the real compulsive drug addict or alcoholic, it says in the book here, if you're the real alcoholic, real food addict, where you've tried everything, there's only one answer. And it talks all throughout the doc's opinion, all through the book, we agnostics, it says there is nothing but a spiritual solution. All the doctors of the time, Dr. Silkwood said, the geniuses, right? The medical men and the doctors and the scientists, they said they couldn't figure it out. But here's the amazing thing. This book was written, in the 1930s? Here we are, maybe soon will be 100 years later. And guess what? They still haven't figured it out. If you think somebody has, you let me know. But in all the research I've seen and everything I looked at, they haven't found the solution yet for alcoholism, drug addiction, and for the real compulsive eating. I mean, they tried everything. Look, let me read that quickly, and then we're going to, here we go. And this 08, 12, and 12. I always love this. It tells us here on page 10, it says, look, listen to this. We were horrified by what we were doing to ourselves with food. We became obsessed with diets. We spent hundreds of dollars on weight loss schemes. We bought all sorts of appetite control drugs. We joined diet clubs and spas. We had ourselves hypnotized and analyzed, and we had major surgery on our digestive systems done, our ears stapled, our jaws wired. Let me tell you this. There's a show called, I think, 600 Pound or whatever it is. They have the stomach surgery. And they say right at the beginning, 95% of this fails. And if you watch the program, it's all about controlling. You know, the surgery is the main thing, but they tell the people, look, you could have just this, a low protein, I don't know, whatever, high protein diet they're talking about. Look, my feeling is this, look, it's either high protein, high carb, low carb, whatever it is. It's the thing we're putting on the foods that kills us, makes it 3 times the calories. You know, just get used to the beauty of water, the clarity, or any food. Eat its whole natural source, right? Get away from all that addictive stuff and that junk. After a while, you know, you'll have the change, the perception change. It's called the spiritual awakening. You could have it right here, right now, the spiritual awakening. Look, it could be, though, also during the week, if more and more you go to this instead of a 1,200 calorie drink, or even a salad. A salad is what, 100, 200 calories, but when they put the stuff in, it's 1,200 calories. It's how much, it's a one meal for it's a whole day's calories. Any food that's natural, wholesome. How can this gift from God, these particular things, how can today's modern science and anything can't even compare to it? They put the synthetic junk and chemicals, it's called. Chemicals. It's pretty amazing, the whole thing. You know, when we fight something, we give it strength. And, you know, just think of the perception change. Some people restrict food. Some people eat a lot of, binge. I'm saying it's perception. And when we have that perception change, the only change is in our mind through these steps and that transformation spiritually towards the food and towards other things in our life. But anyway, hang in there. You know, the psychic change. You know, you said the whole thing in that one phrase, psychic change. But my psychic change before this was being into the food and making that my addiction and listening to, you know, all these crazy foods. But I had that, that psychic change. Looking at perception, it's the only way to do it. To fight it, to control it, it never works. It makes it more worse and real.